Hello and welcome to My Living Room. We're early in the taping of this series right now, and so as a result, I've invited most of my good friends to be on the show with me so that I feel more comfortable. Because if I feel more comfortable, perhaps you'll feel more comfortable listening to us in English. So today, I've invited my good friend Gonzalo Garcia.
Hello, Kathleen.
Hello.
How are you?
Gonzalo, did I say your name right?
Yes, you did. You did.
We practiced before the show, but I never know where to put the lisp.
The lisp, this, lisp thing, it's not really a lisp because,
No.
The Spanish Z is...
It's a theta sound.
It's a theta, but it's softer than than that lisp.
And you've got two in your name, so there you go.
Yeah,
I
Gonzalo
only have
Garcia.
one, Kathleen.
When I lived in New York, it was difficult to, to say my name because, I had to start saying it with an English accent, Gonzalo Garcia.
How long did you live in New York City?
I was there for 11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
And you'll notice that Gonzalo's English is excellent.
I have a New York accent.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
No.
New York.
New York.
New York.
No.
You don't have a New York accent, but one of the things that I've always enjoyed about our friendship is that you and I can speak English in a way that's so comfortable for me. Mm-hmm. But you never fail to give me a hard time about my lack of attention to my Spanish.
Yeah, but actually, I'm glad that you don't speak Spanish because like this, I get to, speak English,
There are other
which is something I miss a lot because I spend a lot of years of my life I spent in America and in the States, and I'm part of that as well. So when I moved back to Spain, that part kind of disappeared. And
but you didn't forget. You just had
no,
to practice.
I don't forget. But the thing is that I miss speaking in English. I miss using English slang. Yeah. I miss and I do obviously I keep in touch with friends over there, and I talk to them, and I write emails and all that, and all the movies I watch are in English, obviously, and I don't have them translated or anything like that.
You don't read them with subtitles.
But I miss, I miss communicating in English because I love English. I love, the language.
And you don't have to say that just because it's an English language
I do,
show.
I do, I do
but
like
I know
it.
this about you. He's being completely honest.
Yeah.
That you really do enjoy speaking English, and your work as an interior designer probably
Yes.
doesn't give you that many opportunities to speak English because I assume your clients are Spanish.
They are, but some providers, furniture providers or wallpaper, something like that. Mm-hmm. They come from sometimes from London, sometimes from Germany. So so I do get to talk in English with them.
So it helps
and
you
write
sometimes.
English. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I know a little bit about what you do, but the listeners don't, and I think they'd rather hear you describe your work here in Madrid than to hear me talk about it. But I think you're the only person I know that's involved in interior design.
Well, I'm an interior designer. What I used to do in the States, what I used to do in New York is work as a set designer.
Really? For television?
Well, for anything, for television, for print, advertising, for editorial, for...
like set dressing? Is that what they
set
call it?
Set dressing and set design. And,
so you'd come into a place like this and decide...
Yeah, and I'll build this set. I mean, I'll do this set. I'll design this set. I'll bring this table for you and this
to put the
beautiful
centerpiece
couch
here and the lovely flowers here.
Exactly. I'll just put it all together for a specific set in fashion or in another field. But
and this was what you did in New York
This
City.
is what I did over there, but there's a lot of work, and I had an agent, and it worked differently there. So once I was back in Madrid, I thought I was going to do the same, and I had a very good portfolio, and I worked with really good people in New York. And I thought it was going to be, I've been in New York. It's just going to be so easy,
Well, you worked with some of the top fashion houses. And
I worked with a lot of, really good people. I did window dressing and window design, and I worked with really important stores over there. Once I got here, I thought I was going to do the same thing, but it was very difficult to get into this specific.
Is it a smaller
business.
industry, smaller group of people?
And somebody that works for TV stays in TV. Somebody that works for editorial, only does editorial. It doesn't mix that much. So I think, for me, it was a little weird, And I decided little by little to go more into interior design, and I started doing home renovations, and more into that field, and I'm happy doing it.
Well, I remember this summer we were having a lovely dinner out on your terraza, in your garden,
Mm-hmm.
and you had just come home from a long day at work, and when I asked you
Was
about
I mean?
No, no. No, he was very nice. No, you were a little tired and a little stressed, but when I asked you about what you'd been doing, you had a T-shirt on and your muscles were kind of popping out, and you'd been doing like physical labor. And I thought, is this what interior designers do? I mean, does it seem like it's
I can't remember what I was doing then,
rigorous.
but I'm sure it was. I mean, I still work in advertising, and I still do eventually some advertising jobs or sets, like this. So,
but you were helping renovate a kitchen, or you were doing something that required hammering.
I think the only time I might move like a piece of furniture or something like that is when it's actually, a set.
Yeah.
Because, I get a couple of assistants and we kind of like place the furniture in different spots, and, you have to work with your hands, because.
But you don't do construction work in conjunction with interior design.
I'm very, handy. I'm a handyman, but I don't like doing it.
No. Well, who would?
No, but a lot of people enjoy, working on home projects and all of that. I don't. I do them, because I think sometimes it's faster to just go ahead and do it yourself, and buy the nails and the hammer and nail the picture in the wall and wait for somebody to do it for you.
I do them because it's cheaper.
Well, there's another big reason.
If you can do it yourself, why would you, pay for someone to come and do, like fixing minor plumbing issues in your house or doing things?
Oh, that I can do.
You can't?
No.
Or you can?
No.
You can't?
No.
Okay.
I can paint, and I can, I can do crafty stuff, but not like, like electrical and
no, electrical,
and that kind of stuff.
No. I would draw the line at a current, any kind of voltage.
Scares me too. Yeah.
Well, as the viewers can see, you're a very attractive person. You're also
Oh,
very.
Thank you.
No, I mean that.
You're not only attractive, you're beautiful.
No, stop it. You're very photogenic as well. I was looking at you in the monitor before we started taping, and
I was photogenic before my braces.
well, but that's part of what we were talking about yesterday. I had a plastic surgeon who came on the show with me, and we were talking about people our age in their early 40s, or in my case, early 20s, or in my case, mid 40s, and people are starting to pay attention more to how they look and willing to do the small things they can do to improve their appearance. But you worked in television and you did some modeling. So for you, getting older is not very pleasant.
No.
We talked about that. It's not pleasant for me either. But it's not something that when you wake up in the morning and you look at how your face is dropping, it's not something you can deal with very easily.
Well, I mean, it has a couple of different moments there.
I don't mean to make you self-conscious.
No, no, not at all. I mean, it's not something pleasant. But on another hand, you just don't want to look ridiculous,
like this.
And
no,
so
you want to look natural.
I think little by little, I'm gonna have to accept the fact that we're growing old, and that's it. I mean, I do sports. I take care of my diet, and I kind of like,
But you're lucky you're a man. And
yeah, well,
I think men age better than women do.
Well, I don't think so. I think
No?
age is accepted in men, and that's why it looks like, a guy that has wrinkles, oh, he's so attractive. Well, I think it's something that socially...
It's a perception.
It's a perception, but why, Why a woman with her wrinkles cannot look as good as a man with his wrinkles, really?
That's exactly right.
And especially, why does everybody has to have the same face now, all like filled up with stuff and with the same cheekbones, the same nose, the same...
I have noticed in when I open up fashion magazines that the male models especially all tend to look the same. They all have kind of this certain Gentleman's Quarterly, GQ look. Well, and the women, not too much different than that.
I think in fashion now, because I did work in fashion before, it was a little bit different. I think 10, 15 years ago, the look was more like the GQ look that you say, and
the Ralph Lauren
model,
Ralph Lauren
very
conservative.
very, and also like a Latin look too. You know, back when like when I was modeling, the models, they use like dark hair models and very Latin looking, and that's that changed with time, and the fact that women like look skinnier and skinnier, now.
Not
in
now,
fashion,
but
in
before.
Fashion, in fashion, I mean, the girls now they use are really really thin, so that's changed a little bit from before. I don't know.
But why did you decide? You and I talked about this before we came on today about the decision to have braces, and we talked about some of the reasons why we think this is something you see more often.
I want to look better.
Duh.
And no, and it's healthier, and with age the teeth tend to get a little more crooked, and that's not good for your health because you get dirt and stuff.
Well, and your bite is important too I think for the health of your jaw.
But my bite was fine. I mean, I had like a couple of crooked teeth, and then they get even worse.
More crooked.
Yeah, they were like getting. At one point, I was looking at and you don't realize until you look at yourself in a picture and you go like, oh.
That was 6 months ago. What's happened to me?
What's that black hole in there? I didn't have that.
I don't recall ever seeing you with a black hole.
Yes.
But I have noticed more people who are not 16, 15 years old with braces, and you mentioned that you thought it was because it was becoming more socially acceptable for people who are older.
To be older and do it. But the thing is also like I think people in Spain are taking more care of their teeth in this last years. Well, the last 20 years probably. But like when I was a kid, I wasn't. My parents didn't take me to the dentist that often.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is like weird, and it wasn't something that only my parents did. In general, it was like that. People didn't really. Go to the dentist that often.
So,
compared to Americans.
Well, in the United States, I remember going to the dentist once or twice a year, hating it, because the first filling that I ever had was the procedure was done without Novocaine, because this was many years ago, many decades ago.
That was a cruel dentist.
Well, there was this feeling that children could withstand that kind of pain better than adults, or that maybe the child would be so afraid of the shot, of the injection. Children are terrified of injections.
Traumatized my sister. A dentist traumatized my sister, and she couldn't go to the dentist for I don't know how many years because she fainted, because I think he hurt her so much. And he came with a needle like this, to a little kid, and I think he traumatized her a little bit, and she couldn't go for like the longest time.
That would traumatize anyone, I think, to have somebody, coming at you.
I fall asleep at the dentist.
Do you fall asleep?
I get so relaxed.
Has this been an uncomfortable procedure to have braces, or has it been relatively?
No, it's when they adjust it, every month, it starts to hurt, because the teeth move.
Is it more like a soreness or pain, actual pain?
It's soreness, and then you get like ulcers in your because it rubs
canker sores
and stuff like that. So
well, let's move on to happier topics.
Yes, please. In a year you should interview me in a year, and I'll show you my fabulous brand new smile.
We'll have Gonzalo back in about 6 months' time to see the new you.
The new me.
Talk a little bit about your time in the United States. We already talked about you living in New York City for 11 years, but you visited other parts of the United States that not very many Spanish people have been to. One of them, North Carolina, which is unusual.
I had been to New York before I finally moved to New York. I had been there one time, and that's when I always had, like, since I was a little kid, I always had this thing about New York. It was like this magical place, and with
crazy people,
crazy and glamour and beauty and tall buildings, and I always had a fixation with New York. I was always
and you see so many movies and films and print.
Exactly, and when you get there, it's I've seen this. You've seen things because you've seen so many movies, filmed in New York and all that. But so I have been there one time before that, and I really wanted to go. But when I finally moved, I went straight to Miami Beach. And
So instead of going to New York City, you went down
I went to Miami Beach because at the time I was modeling, and it was like January or something like that. And at that moment, you know, all the shootings were going on in, you know, where the nice weather was.
Right.
And South Beach, it was like South Beach in Miami Beach was this the part where all the Art Deco part, you know, of Miami Beach in the south of Miami Beach. So they were like kind of like renovating all this area, and it was really interesting because you'd find like all these deco buildings. Some of them were like really run down. Some others they were like renovating the hotel, you know, and doing like a fabulous new hotel. And you'd see like Cindy Crawford in the middle of the street in a photo shoot, and you see that Hasidic Jewish families that were living in this other hotel and building. So it was like
And the Cubans.
And the Cubans, of course. And so it was kind of crazy, but it was really interesting. And then when I got there, it was January or something like that, 92. And I was coming from Madrid. The weather was dreadful already. Obviously, it was January. And I got there, and I was like, oh, my, you know, I'm never going to leave. You know, I was like in heaven. It was great. It was like so happening at the moment, and
what year was this?
It was 92.
92.
And it was the beginning. You know, it had been a few years since South Beach, the South Beach phenomenon started. But it was great because you have blue water, blue ocean there, and a huge beach, and I would be bicycling everywhere, and you know, not work that much, you know, do some modeling jobs, and then, you know, have like a lot of free time. And I was in heaven when I first got there, and got to know Miami really well.
I'd like to go there this weekend.
Yeah, well, I think it changed a lot. I think they've like built, you know, like it's been like they built so many like buildings and condos.
They may have overbuilt it.
They overbuilt it.
I didn't know about the South Beach Renaissance, and I didn't know about the Art Deco influence in Miami. I've only been to Miami one time. I was 17 years old. I don't remember it very well.
Well, this area, it's you know, Miami Beach. This is Long Island, you know, in front of Miami, and the, you know, the tip, you know, the bottom tip. It's this area is South Beach, and in the 30s, it's South Beach. All the buildings are like, you know, this deco style, and
so it had during the 1930s there was a lot of building.
During the 1930s, it was like a big vacation site for Americans to go, and I think a lot of people used to go there. Florida was like a swamp, so they dried up all this, you know,
with landfill,
and kind of like invented this gorgeous place full of palm trees and
now full of
nice
tourists.
hotels. Yeah.
How long were you there?
So there, then there I was for like a couple of months, you know, and then I went up to New York, and then the next 2 winters I came down to Miami because I was still modeling. So, you know, the business was down there in the winter. So I said, I'm getting out of the winter in New York and going down south, and.
That's what most New Yorkers do, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Miami or Florida is known as a state of retirees, rich Jewish people, for some reason, that has this stereotype that I don't know why that, but
yeah, they vacation there, or they move there.
People that want to get out of the bad weather of New York because it's pretty nasty in the wintertime, go down to Miami.
No, but
or
it was
to
Fort Lauderdale.
To Fort Lauderdale or to Arizona. That's another retirement state.
No, but it was lovely. I mean, I really have good memories from there because it was beautiful. It was always, the weather was always gorgeous, and.
So when you came back to Madrid, you were in your late 30s or mid 30s? Okay, well, you were in your 30s, I'll assume.
Yeah, let's say that.
Okay, let's just say for the, just to
I was
keep it simple.
34, I think.
So you came back to Madrid, and you weren't doing print modeling anymore, and you weren't...
No, but I wasn't doing that for a long time. I mean, I haven't been doing
But you got involved in television when you came back here, and that may be why you seem so relaxed here today.
I don't know. Well, it's easier to be interviewed than to do guide the show.
It's easier to be interviewed than to do the interviewing.
Yes.
I can tell you that much. But it also is easy to talk to a friend. It's much easier to have a conversation with you than it would be to have someone sit down who I've never met before and actually try to pull information out of them. With you, I know what we're going to talk about.
Blah blah blah.
Blah 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 blah
talk.
blah 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 blah.
No, when I first came back from New York, and I was kind of like, I thought I was gonna do the same kind of work and all of that. I got involved with a couple of TV channels and did a couple of TV shows, and one was like this show. I don't know if the Spanish viewers will know who Martha Stewart is, but she's like this.
She's the most successful businesswoman next to Oprah Winfrey in the United States.
And she does like all home decorating and crafty stuff.